As director of the BC Center for Excellence in HIV/AIDS at St. Paul's Hospital, Dr. Julio Montaner is considered one of the world's leading HIV investigators. Dr. Montaner, who is also the president-elect of the International AIDS Society, is BC Innovation Council's 2007 BC Science and Technology Champion of the Year.
And he said, you notice that it's growing, it's decreasing.
When Dr. Montaner arrived in Vancouver from Buenos Aires in the early 1980s, a mysterious disease was ravaging the city.
The reality was that by the time that you had HIV diagnosed or AIDS diagnosed in 1983, 84, 85, it was a death sentence.
He applied his knowledge of respiratory diseases, particularly tuberculosis, to the new disease. He knew triple drug therapy had been used to treat TB. He wondered if the same strategy could be applied to AIDS.
That's when the kind of quantum leaps occur in medical science. And that's precisely what Julio did. One of the unique characteristics about Julio, he was able to do that.
By combining AZT with 2 other retroviral drugs, he and his colleagues created the world's first anti-AIDS cocktail. The treatment is known as highly active antiretroviral therapy, or HAART for short. Today, there are scores of cocktail combinations. HAART is not a cure for AIDS, but it does mean people with AIDS can stay healthy longer.
How are you feeling? How are things?
Everything's actually going very well.
While his focus has been on treating the individual, Dr. Montaner is now turning his attention to the community at large. He wants to use multi-drug therapy, or HAART, together with harm reduction strategies like education and safe injection sites to mitigate the spread of AIDS among those at risk.
Whether it is in the west side of Vancouver or in the east side of Vancouver, it doesn't really matter. We will have an impact on transmission.
Not only does Dr. Montaner believe AIDS can be controlled locally, he says it can be controlled, even eradicated worldwide if governments put their minds to it. It's a goal that consumes him, even when relaxing.
My wife often says that this is like visiting with me in the office. But having said that, it is really a different pace. HIV and AIDS is part of my life. That's what I breathe, that's what I do. And it goes with me on holidays or not, but it's always there.
For his unrelenting devotion to the control and eradication of HIV/AIDS, the BC Innovation Council recognizes Dr. Julio Montaner as its 2007 BC Science and Technology Champion of the Year.
This is a fight that is going on every day, every place, every corner of the world. There is a job to be done, and we will continue to do it, whether we're here in town or anywhere in the world.
Dunstan's been planning the celestial banquet for decades. The plaster he's going to paint on contains lime putty that's been curing for 30 years. Preparing the paints has taken months. So when the big day finally arrives...
I'm terrified. It's a big job. And the area we have to plaster today is much larger than most of the areas I'll be painting. Well, I know one thing. At the end of the day, I'm going to bed early.
Painting a fresco is a race against time. Because the paint is being applied to the wet plaster, Dunstan has to complete his section before the plaster dries.
You can feel it. Is the water being pulled into the wall? Is the wall too dry? You might have to mist it with some water. It requires constant adjustments to the state of the plaster. So there's no time to dally. You can't daydream about it. I think that's why Leonardo rejected the idea of fresco. He wanted lots of time. He wanted to change things constantly. This is not feasible in fresco. You're a collaborator with the wall. And it's an uneasy relationship, but that's part of the fascination of fresco painting.
It's intense work that carries its own gentle rhythm.
I never feel that I'm creating the grace. The grace is creating me.